At 3:17 in the morning, on a night that was unremarkable in every way except for the weight of the silence that had settled over the small Oregon town of Willow Creek, a 911 dispatcher named Amanda Reeves received a call that would unravel everything she believed about time memory and the nature of the dead, and for a moment, just a moment, she almost let it go to voicemail. Because she had been working the graveyard shift for 12 years and had learned to recognize the rhythm of the night, the ebb and flow of emergencies that rarely came before dawn, and the phone had been silent for hours, the radio crackling with the occasional check-in from the lone patrol car on duty, the coffee in her thermos long gone cold, the fluorescent lights of the dispatch center casting a sterile glow over her desk, and she was tired, bone tired. The kind of tired that seeps into your marrow and makes you question why you ever chose this job, this life, this endless vigil over a town that seemed to sleep through its own existence. But the phone rang, persistent and urgent, and she answered it with the practiced calm of a professional. Her voice steady, her hand already reaching for the keyboard to log the call, and the voice on the other end was a whisper, a terrified, trembling whisper that seemed to come from a great distance, as if the caller was speaking from the bottom of a well, and it said, "Please send someone. My husband is in the house, but he died 6 years ago." And Amanda felt a cold creeping sensation crawl up her spine, because the voice was familiar, not in the way of a person she had met, but in the way of a song you can't quite remember, a dream you can't quite recall, a name on the tip of your tongue that refuses to surface. And she said, "Ma'am, I need you to stay on the line with me. What is your address?" And the voice, the trembling, terrified voice, gave an address, a house number and a street name that Amanda recognized, because she had driven past that street 1,000 times, had seen the empty lot where a house used to stand, had heard the stories from the old-timers who remembered the fire, the terrible fire that had taken a life 6 years ago, the fire that had consumed everything, leaving only ashes and memories, and a question that had never been answered. What had caused it, and why had the woman who lived there, the woman who had made the call, the woman who had been the only victim, why had she been unable to escape? And Amanda's hand froze over the keyboard, her mind racing because the address the caller had given was the address of the house that had burned down, the house that no longer existed, the house that was nothing but a memory. And she said, "Ma'am, I need you to confirm your address. Are you sure you're at 1427 Maple Street?" And the voice, the whisper, said, "Yes. Please send someone. He's in the house. I can hear him moving. He's in the kitchen. He's opening the cabinets. He's looking for something. Please send someone before he finds me." And Amanda felt a surge of adrenaline, a rush of clarity that cut through the fog of exhaustion, and she made a decision, the kind of decision that dispatchers make every day. The kind of decision that can save lives or end them, and she said, "Ma'am, I'm sending officers to your location right now. Stay on the line with me. Stay quiet. Stay hidden. I'm going to stay with you until they arrive." And she dispatched the call, her voice calm, her fingers flying across the keyboard, and she heard the officer's voice, a young man named Mike who had been on the force for just 2 years, and he said, "Dispatch, I'm en route to 1427 Maple, ETA 5 minutes. Any more details?" And Amanda said, "Female caller says her husband is in the house, says he died 6 years ago. Be careful, Mike. Something about this feels off." And Mike laughed, a nervous, uncertain laugh, and he said, "You're telling me, Amanda. I've been past that street 100 times. There's nothing there, just an empty lot. But hey, weirder things have happened, right?" And Amanda didn't laugh because she knew that weirder things had happened. She had heard the stories, the whispers in the dispatch center, the tales of calls that came from nowhere from the dead, from the spaces between moments, and she had always dismissed them as folklore, as the kind of stories that dispatchers tell to scare each other on slow nights. But now, sitting in the cold glow of the fluorescent lights, she was not so sure, because the voice on the line was still there, still breathing, still whispering, and she could hear the sound of footsteps in the background. Slow, deliberate, heavy footsteps, and she said, "Ma'am, is that him? Is that your husband?" And the whisper said, "Yes. He's in the living room now. He's looking at the photographs. He's touching the frames. He's smiling. He's smiling at the photograph of us on our wedding day. He's touching my face in the photograph. He's remembering. He's remembering everything. He's remembering the fire. And Amanda felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature because the caller was speaking about the fire as if it was a memory, as if it had already happened. And she said, "Ma'am, what fire? What are you talking about?" And the whisper said, "The fire that killed me. The fire that took everything. The fire that he started. He started it. He was jealous. He was angry. He was drunk. He said he would rather see me dead than with another man. And he did. He watched me burn. He watched me die. And now he's back. He's come back to finish what he started. He's come back to make sure I stay dead. But I'm not dead. I'm not dead. I'm still here. I'm still calling. I'm still waiting. Please send someone. Please send someone before he finds me." And Amanda realized with a dawning horror that the caller was not just a victim, she was a witness, a survivor, a ghost that had been trapped in the moment of her own death, and she was calling out for help that could never arrive because the house was gone. The fire was over and the woman was dead, but the call was still connected. The voice was still there, and Amanda was the only one who could hear it, the only one who could answer, the only one who could bear witness to the horror that had unfolded 6 years ago. And she said, "Ma'am, I'm going to stay on the line with you until the officers arrive. I'm not going anywhere. I'm right here." And the whisper said, "Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for not hanging up. They always hang up. They always think it's a prank. They always think it's a mistake. But it's not a mistake. It's never a mistake. The call always comes. The call always finds someone. And now it's found you." And Amanda heard the sound of tires on gravel, the crunch of a patrol car pulling up to the empty lot, and she heard Mike's voice crackling over the radio, and he said, "Dispatch, I'm at 1427 Maple. There's nothing here, just an empty lot. No house, no woman, no husband, just an empty lot and a lot of weeds." And Amanda said, "Mike, I still have the caller on the line. She's still talking. She's telling me he's in the house. She's telling me he's looking for her. She's telling me he's going to find her." And Mike was silent for a moment. And then he said, "Amanda, I'm looking at the lot right now. There's nothing here. No structure, no debris, just grass and dirt. Are you sure she's still on the line?" And Amanda said, "I can hear her breathing. I can hear her whispering. I can hear him walking in the background. He's in the kitchen. He's opening the cabinets. He's looking for something. He's looking for her." And Mike said, "Amanda, I'm going to do a sweep of the perimeter. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe there's a basement or foundation I can't see from the road. Stay on the line. I'll keep you posted." And Amanda heard the sound of Mike's boots crunching on the gravel, the beam of his flashlight sweeping across the empty lot, and she heard the whisper on the line, the terrified, trembling whisper saying, "He knows they're here. He knows the police are here. He's not happy. He's angry. He's coming toward the door. He's opening the door. He's looking out. He's looking at the patrol car. He's looking at the officer. He's smiling. He's smiling at the officer. He's going to talk to him. He's going to tell him everything. He's going to tell him about the fire. He's going to tell him about the woman. He's going to tell him about me." And Amanda said, "Mike, be careful. The caller says the husband is coming out of the house. He's coming toward you. He's going to talk to you." And Mike laughed, a nervous, uncertain laugh, and he said, "Amanda, there's no one here. I'm standing in the middle of an empty lot. There's no house. There's no door. There's no husband. There's no one." But Amanda could hear the footsteps on the line, heavy, deliberate, getting closer, and she could hear the whisper, the terrified whisper, saying, "He's there. He's standing in front of the officer. He's talking to him. He's telling him about the fire. He's telling him about me. He's telling him about the call. He's telling him about you." And Mike's voice came over the radio, and it was different, strange, wrong, and he said, "Who are you talking to?" And Amanda said, "What do you mean? I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the caller. I'm talking to the woman who made the call." And Mike said, "Amanda, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the person standing behind me." and Amanda felt a cold creeping sensation crawl up her spine because Mike was not in the dispatch center. He was alone in the empty lot. There was no one else there. And she said, "Mike, there's no one behind you. You're alone. You're the only one there." And Mike said, "Then who is this?" And Amanda heard a sound on the line. A sound that was not the whisper, not the footsteps, not Mike's voice, but a new sound. A voice that was familiar, a voice that she had heard 1,000 times, a voice that was her own, and it said, "Please don't let me see myself." And then the line went dead, the static hissing, the silence pressing in, and Amanda sat in the dispatch center, her heart pounding, her mind reeling, and she looked at the clock and it read 3:17 a.m. And she knew that something was wrong because the call had lasted for what felt like hours, but the clock said it had only been minutes, and she looked at the call log and she saw the record, the digital fingerprint of the call that had come in at 3:17 a.m., and she saw the address 1427 Maple Street, and she saw the duration 00:00, as if the call had never happened, as if it had been a dream, a hallucination, a break from reality. But she knew it was not, because she could still hear the whisper, the terrified, trembling whisper echoing in her mind, and she could still feel the cold, creeping sensation of being watched, of being followed, of being part of something that was bigger than she could understand. And she knew that the call was not over, that it would come again, that it would find her again, and that the next time it came, she would not be able to hang up, she would not be able to walk away. She would be drawn into the house that had burned down, the house that still stood in the space between moments, the house that was waiting, patient and hungry for the next soul to answer the call. And she sat in the darkness, the fluorescent lights flickering, the radio crackling with static, and she waited because waiting was all she could do. Waiting was all she had left. Waiting was the only thing that remained of the woman she used to be, and the woman she used to be was slipping away, replaced by something else. Something that had always been there, waiting for its moment, waiting for its chance to step into the light. And she smiled a smile that was not her own, a smile that was the smile of the house that had called 911, the smile of the woman who had died in the fire, the smile of the husband who had watched her burn, the smile of the officer who had spoken to someone who was not there, the smile of the voice that had come from the future, the smile that was the only thing that remained, the smile that was the truth. The horror, the end and the beginning and everything in between. The days that followed were a strange, disorienting blur for Amanda Reeves because the call that had come in at 3:17 a.m. had left a mark on her, a scar that would not heal, a wound that would not close, and she found herself going through the motions of her life, her job, her routine, but beneath the surface, beneath the carefully constructed facade of normalcy, she was unraveling. Her mind a battlefield where the memories of that night fought a losing war against the growing presence of the thing that had attached itself to her, and she could feel it always, a cold weight in the back of her skull, a whisper at the edge of her hearing, a presence that was always there, watching, waiting, and she had tried to fight it. She had tried to ignore it. She had even tried to drive to the empty lot on Maple Street to see it with her own eyes, to prove to herself that it was nothing, just a prank, just a malfunction, just a trick of the mind. But her car had refused to start, the engine turning over, but never catching, as if the house itself was conspiring to keep her away. And she had sat in the cab, her hands gripping the wheel, and she had screamed with all the rage and fear and frustration that had been building inside her. And the scream had echoed through the empty parking lot, unanswered, unheard, swallowed by the vast, indifferent silence of the night. And she had driven back to the dispatch center, and she had gone to her desk, and she had looked at the call log, and she had seen the record, the digital fingerprint of the call that had come in at 3:17 a.m. And she had seen the address 1427 Maple Street, and she had seen the duration 00:00, and she had known that she was not imagining it, that the call had happened, that the voice had spoken, that the house had called, and that she was now part of something that was beyond her understanding, something that was ancient and patient and hungry. And she had tried to reach out, tried to talk to someone, anyone, but the words would not come. Because how do you explain the inexplicable? How do you describe the indescribable? How do you tell a colleague that you have received a call from a dead woman from a house that burned down 6 years ago, from a future that had not yet happened? And she had tried to write it down. She had tried to document her experience, to leave a record, a testament, a warning. But every time she put pen to paper, the words would blur, shift, rearrange themselves into something else. Something that was not her writing. Something that was written in a hand that was almost hers, but not quite. And she would read back what she had written, and it would say, "Please, don't let me see myself." And she would tear the page out, crumple it, burn it. But the words would remain burned into her mind, seared into her soul. A permanent reminder that she was no longer the author of her own story. She was the subject, the victim. The puppet and the thing that wore her face was pulling the strings, and she had tried to resist. She had tried to fight back. She had tried to reclaim her identity. But the harder she fought, the more the thing seemed to feed on her resistance, growing stronger with every act of defiance, until she realized, with a sickening clarity, that resistance was futile, that the only way to survive was to surrender, to let go, to let the thing take over. And that realization was the final blow, the last straw, the moment when Amanda Reeves, the dispatcher, the woman, the human being, ceased to be, and something else, something that was her but not her, took her place. And she went through the motions. She smiled, she talked, she answered the calls, but she was gone, a hollow shell, a puppet, a ghost. And she knew that the end was near, that the final moment was approaching, that she would soon look in the mirror and see the thing that wore her face, and she would know that it was not a reflection, it was a replacement, and she would be gone, erased, forgotten, a footnote in the history of the house that had called 911, another name on the list of those who had answered the call and had never come back the same. And she sat in the dispatch center, the radio crackling softly, the static, a comforting white noise, and she waited for the call, waited for the voice, waited for the moment when the cycle would begin again. And she knew that it would come, because it always came. It came with the night, it came with the darkness, it came with the silence, and it would find her, and it would speak to her, and it would say the words, the same words that had been said 100 times before. And she would answer because she had no choice, because the thing that wore her face had her voice, and her voice would speak the words. And the words would lure the next dispatcher, the next curious soul, the next victim. And the cycle would continue, eternal, endless, inescapable. And she smiled a smile that was not hers, a smile that was the smile of the thing that had taken her place. And she reached for the radio, her fingers moving on their own, and she pressed the transmit button, and she said, "Please, don't let me see myself." And the voice that came out was hers, but it was not hers. It was the echo, the whisper, the voice in the static. And she knew that she was no longer Amanda Reeves. She was the house that had called 911. She was the fire. She was the thing that waited, patient and hungry, for the next soul to answer the call. And she sat in the dispatch center, the radio crackling, the night pressing in. And she waited because waiting was all she could do. Waiting was all she had left. Waiting was the only thing that remained of the woman she used to be. And the woman she used to be was gone. But the echo of her remained, the whisper of her remained, the voice in the static remained. And it would remain forever, a warning, a curse, a testament to the horror that lurks in the forgotten corners of the world, in the houses that no longer exist, in the calls that come from nowhere, in the voices that speak from the darkness. And the horror is not that the thing exists. The horror is that it could be you. It could be anyone. It could be the person you see in the mirror every morning. The person you trust, the person you believe is you, because the thing does not announce itself. It does not reveal itself. It waits, it watches, it learns. And one day when you least expect it, it speaks with your voice, and you realize that you are no longer the only one in your head, that there is another, a passenger, a parasite, a presence that is slowly, inexorably becoming you, and there is nothing you can do to stop it, because it is already inside. It is already part of you. It is already the voice in the static, and the voice in the static is the only voice that matters. And the voice in the static is the voice of the house that called 911, the voice of the forgotten, the voice of the lost, the voice of the ones who answered the call and never came back. And the voice in the static is you, and you are the voice in the static, and there is no escape, no hope, no end, only the endless repeating loop of the call, the answer, the silence, and the smile that is not a smile, the smile that is the only thing that remains, the smile that is the final, eternal, inescapable truth of the house that had called 911. And as Amanda Reeves sat in the dispatch center, the radio crackling, the night pressing in, she smiled, and the smile was not hers, and she knew that she was not alone, and she never would be again. And the call would go out, and someone would answer, and the cycle would continue, because that was the horror, that was the truth. That was the nightmare from which there was no waking, and the nightmare was eternal, and the nightmare was her. And she was the nightmare, and she was the call, and she was the answer, and she was the silence, and she was the smile, and she was the house that had called 911, and the house that had called 911 was her, and there was no beginning, and there was no end, and there was no hope, and there was no escape. Only the static, only the voice, only the endless repeating loop of the one who came before, the one who is now the one who would come after. All of them the same, all of them part of the same, all of them the echo of what was lost, the echo of what was always there waiting for the next soul to answer the call, and the call would come. It always came. It came with the night. It came with the darkness. It came with the silence. And it would find the next dispatcher, the next curious soul, the next victim, and it would speak with her voice, and she would answer. And she would become the echo, and the echo would become the call, and the call would become the silence, and the silence would become the smile, and the smile would be eternal. And the smile would be all that remained, the smile that was not a smile, the smile that was the only truth, the only reality, the only thing that had ever been, the smile that was the house that had called 911, the smile that was the voice in the static, the smile that was the end and the beginning and everything in between. And Amanda Reeves sat in the dispatch center, and she smiled, and she was the smile, and the smile was her. And she was the house that had called 911, and the house that had called 911 was the voice in the static. And the voice in the static was the smile, and the smile was the end, and the end was the beginning, and the beginning was the house that had called 911. And the house that had called 911 was the voice in the static, and the voice in the static was the smile, and the smile was Amanda Reeves. And Amanda Reeves was the house that had called 911. And the house that had called 911 was the voice in the static, and the voice in the static was the smile, and the smile was the only thing that remained, the only thing that had ever been, the only thing that would ever be, and the smile was eternal, and the smile was the truth, and the truth was the horror, and the horror was the smile, and the smile was the static, and the static was the voice, and the voice was the call, and the call was the answer, and the answer was the silence, and the silence was the smile, and the smile was the end. And the end was the beginning, and the beginning was the house that had called 911, and the house that had called 911 was the voice in the static, and the voice in the static was the smile. And the smile was Amanda Reeves, and Amanda Reeves was the house that had called 911, and the house that had called 911 was the voice in the static, and the voice in the static was the smile. And the smile was the only thing that remained, the only thing that had ever been, the only thing that would ever be, and the smile was eternal, and the smile was the truth, and the truth was the horror, and the horror was the smile, and the smile was the static, and the static was the voice, and the voice was the call, and the call was the answer, and the answer was the silence, and the silence was the smile, and the smile was the end, and the end was the beginning, and the beginning was the house that had called 911. And the house that had called 911 was the voice in the static, and the voice in the static was the smile, and the smile was Amanda Reeves, and Amanda Reeves was the house that had called 911. And the house that had called 911 was the voice in the static, and the voice in the static was the smile, and the smile was the only thing that remained, the only thing that had ever been, the only thing that would ever be, and the smile was eternal. And the smile was the truth, and the truth was the horror, and the horror was the smile, and the smile was the static, and the static was the voice, and the voice was the call, and the call was the answer, and the answer was the silence, and the silence was the smile, and the smile was the end, and the end was the beginning, and the beginning was the house that had called 911, And the house that had called 911 was the voice in the static, and the voice in the static was the smile. And the smile was Amanda Reeves, and Amanda Reeves was the house that had called 911. And the house that had called 911 was the voice in the static, and the voice in the static was the smile. And the smile was the only thing that remained, the only thing that had ever been, the only thing that would ever be. And the smile was eternal, and the smile was the truth, and the truth was the horror, and the horror was the smile.